Hello everyone. Today we will hear a speech from our English educational department. A.Sherel is going to talk about how to nail a job interview in English. Anna, you can start.
Okay. So guys, hello to everyone. You see I've turned on my camera just to say hello and in general to tell you what the presentation will be about. So guys, a bit later I will turn it off, so actually you will be able to focus on the presentation itself. And remember, if you have any questions, please leave them in our chat, and a bit later, actually at the end of the presentation, I will answer all of them. So guys, as you know, today we'll be talking about how to nail a job interview in English. So actually this presentation will be handy not only for those people who are trying to get a new project, where, for example, they might have to speak English, but also for those people who are currently not having any English classes, and you understand that when you're not attending any English classes, every half a year you get checked by our English teachers just to confirm your English level. And well, trust me, quite often there are cases when I understand that people have B1 English level in our database, but after half a year, when they have this check once again, I realize that, well, it's hardly B1. So, and in my presentation, you will understand that mostly it's because of poor or no preparation at all. So guys, that's why let's get started. I'm turning off my camera. So give me just 1 second and I'll launch screen demonstration. Okay, so here we go. Okay, guys, so first of all, here are the contents, what we will be talking about. First of all, there will be some introduction. After that, we will talk about mastering small talk in English, elevator pitch, or tell me about yourself, past experience, what would you do if, professional upskill, dealing with technical issues and other obstacles, to ask or not to ask, a mix of English sentences, and then at the end, there will be some recap. So let's start. Well, guys, imagine you get a message that you need to undergo an interview in just a couple of days. So, mostly the first thought would be the following: there is no way I can upskill my English in a couple of days. So, why should I even waste time? But you know, it's one of the biggest misconceptions candidates have and unfortunately stick to. Because, well, it's true that you can't really drastically level up your English in just a couple of days. But you have to understand that an interview itself, no matter whether it's a job interview or just a check of your English level, is mostly about giving good first impression. And luckily, it's just a set of cliche questions and phrases that you can prepare and practice in advance to nail your interview. And by the way, even when you have very average English level, so don't worry. That's why let's sum it up. No improvisation. The best improvisation is prepared improvisation. So, the first point I would like to talk about is definitely small talk. Because as you know, absolutely every interview includes small talk. As you know, it's a conversation about things that are not important, often between people who don't know each other very well. Small talk happens in those first minutes of the interview when you meet the interviewer. So, guys, if you don't make small talk or respond to small talk, you will most definitely look and sound scared and even rude. That's why, if you want to look and sound confident, make sure you engage in a little bit of small talk. Well, here you actually don't need to be super chatty or talk about personal stuff. No, you just need to show a willingness, a desire to communicate and set a positive tone for the interview. Well, and definitely don't forget to start off in English from the very first seconds. Well, and right now I would like you to have a look at these two examples. So we will have a bad answer and a good answer. Let's probably start from the bad one. So, for example, your interviewer says, "Hi, how are you doing today?" And you respond, "Hi, I'm okay." Well, guys, actually, this is 90% of all the responses I get. And on one hand, okay, there is nothing wrong with this answer. I mean, you hear it a lot during English classes or some English meetings, but by no means this is the best answer. Because you have to understand that from the very first seconds you see your interviewer, it's your chance to start proving that with your English level and soft skills, you're well suited for the project and for the company itself. So let's have a look at one more. Let's say the interviewer says, "How are you doing today?" And you respond, "I'm doing pretty good. I'm very excited to meet you today and speak about the project. How is your day?" Or, for example, if you have this interview with your English, I mean, here, right in our company, you could say, "Well, I'm doing pretty good. I'm very excited to have my English checked because it's been a while since the last time. How was your day, Anna?" Well, guys, to tell the truth, this is only 10% of all the responses I get. And again, getting back to the first one, you understand that it's kind of too simple. You just say, I'm okay, that's it, and you show absolutely no willingness, no desire to continue this conversation. Yeah, that's why, well, you see, it's not rocket science to have ready response, but it creates a favorable first impression of you. Well, let's have a look at some other expressions you can use in this situation. So you can also say, I'm doing well, thank you. I feel great. Couldn't be better. Can't complain. I'm all right, thanks. So far, so good. You see, there are lots of different alternatives. And guys, if you want to be just a little bit more creative, you can say like this. So once again, your interviewer says, Hi, how are you doing today? And you say, Hi, it's going really well. I've already made some coffee and ready to have a nice talk with you. Do you like coffee? Honestly, guys, I would be really impressed to get this kind of answer because it's relaxed, it's friendly, and it's really positive. I don't understand that you can say, but Anna, this is kind of awkward. I mean, I see this person for the first time and I ask some questions about coffee. I say that I'm gonna, like communicate with this person and have coffee at the same time. Isn't it too strange? So, guys, no, it's not. In Russian, it can be because our people are just not used to this kind of conversation. But don't forget, it's not Russian, it's English, and it's absolutely different mentality. So it's all right. Okay, let's move forward. And the next point is elevator pitch or tell me about yourself. So you have to remember that HR interviews and English checks are rather similar, which means that you can Google a list of classical job interview questions and leverage this list to prepare in advance. Because once again, these questions are mostly similar, they're not different. So the first question that is asked absolutely every time is tell me about yourself. So it's about having an elevator pitch, a short, persuasive statement about yourself and what you do. Well, guys, and here you need to remember that this is the time for you to shine. This is the time for you to showcase your professional experience and ensure an interview that you can easily do it even in English. And guys, here the interviewer typically isn't asking you about your weekend. They just need to take this opportunity to capture and distill the most important things they need to know about you as an employee. So, for example, your most impactful job, the skills you would most like to highlight, as well as some of the previous projects you feel showcase your abilities. So, remember, guys, not to make it too long. Usually, it's not more than 1 minute because you're not supposed to talk about absolutely all the skills you have, all the jobs you've had, and all the projects you've ever taken part in. Just handpick the most significant ones. Okay, and here I've got some phrases you can use in this situation. So, guys, remember that all the time you need to show some kind of enthusiasm, yeah, that you're actually quite happy to have this interview. That's why you could say the following. Well, I'm passionate about programming. I'm excited about working with foreign customers. I'm really interested in new technology. I love creating interesting projects. And trust me, guys, if you don't get ready for this interview, you would say something like, well, I really like my job, and that's it. So instead of saying like, look at the alternatives. Also, when talking about skills, you could use the following expressions. I'm experienced in web development. I'm proficient. Oh, sorry, there's a mistype here. I'm proficient in Java. I'm familiar with front end frameworks. I have a strong background in, for example, database management. I'm skilled in data architecture. My key areas of expertise are, let's say, data analysis and business analysis. Or you can say, I'm good at working under pressure. Okay, let me give you one example. For example, you could say the following. I'm passionate about programming and all the tech related stuff. My key area of expertise is front end, but I'm also familiar with back end. I'm proficient in GS and well experienced in working with React, Angular, and Vue.js. I love working on challenging projects that help me upskill professionally. The most exciting one was for Shell Energy Company that helped me unfold my potential. You see, it doesn't take more than 1 minute, and it says, let's say, it highlights the most significant points in your CV. Okay, and by the way, guys, I do consider this point to be one of the most vital ones because this is the point where, first of all, you're still making first impression, and secondly, it can be a tricky point for candidates, and here are the reasons why. So, first of all, some candidates have no idea what an elevator pitch is and what they are to talk about. So that's why they start talking about job irrelevant stuff. You might think it's a joke, but really, okay, not all the time, but very often I have cases when people start saying like, so, I was born in Lida, then I relocated to Grodno, then I went to school, to university, and so on. I mean, why would I care? It's a job interview. We're talking about work related stuff. So, I don't really need to know where you were born and all this, once again, job irrelevant stuff. And guys, even when they do understand what information they have to present, they may think since a teacher, not a tech expert, there is no use talking about the hard skills they have. So again, here's the question, what to talk about? But guys, this is wrong. I mean, I may not be a tech expert who knows the specifics, though it's my job to estimate how well you can talk about them in English. That's why feel free, talk about any hard skills, soft skills, well, everything that you got. Okay, we can move forward a bit. And the next point is talking about past experience. So here the questions can be, the most typical questions can be the following. So tell me about your last project and your duties on this project. Can you tell me about a recent project or process that you made better, faster, smarter, or more efficient? What was the biggest professional challenge you've ever faced? How did you work it out? Tell me about a time you had to work with a colleague you didn't get along with. What did you do? Describe a time you fell behind schedule. What went wrong and what would you do differently next time? Can you tell me about a time when things didn't go the way you wanted at work, such as a project that failed? Uh, so, guys, I really strongly recommend you to think such questions through in advance, because at the time of an interview, you might get, a bit scatterbrained and not be able to think on your feet. Because here you're facing two challenges. So at first, it's really hard to recall a particular example fast. And again, quite often I have cases when I ask one of these questions, just tell me about a time when you faced a big challenge in the project, and people just, first of all, they think for a really long time, and they end up saying, well, I've never really thought about this. I really don't remember. So please be prepared because, like I told you, these are the most typical questions. That's why, once again, you can just read them in advance and think what you might answer. So, when speaking about answers, here are the phrases for experience based questions. So, you can say the following: I have worked for several companies, including, and you start enumerating. I had to do this task myself. By the way, guys, pay attention here. I'm using modal verb have to. And just remember that every time when you talk about some responsibilities or things you do at work all the time, it's really good for you to use exactly this modal verb. Yeah, because, okay, maybe you don't really want to do this, but this is your job, so you have to do this or that task. So the next one, my task was to optimize our website's performance. I encountered or faced some issues. By the way, once again, I would like you to pay attention to these phrases, encounter and face. So quite often students make mistake and they use a preposition after them. So they say, I faced with this issue. So guys, there is no with. I faced or I encountered something. Just keep it in mind next time. So as a result, we managed to solve the problem. I was able to resolve this issue by, for example, writing a database query. I figured out the solution to the issue by, again, doing research. I suggested to my team that we should conduct a detailed analysis. What I learned from that was that it's a good idea to conduct brainstorming sessions with the team. And one more here, I appreciated that experience because it taught me to be more proactive. Okay. So let's move forward a bit. And the next one, what would you do if? So quite often you can be asked questions about imaginary situations. And I ask them for various reasons. Like, for example, when a candidate doesn't have much experience, so at least they can imagine something. Also here we can check how well you can use conditional sentences, which is a big plus for you. So listen to your interviewer attentively. If you hear the second conditional, for example, like, what would you do if you were assigned a task with a known technology? You need to answer using the same structure. So if I were assigned a task with a known technology, I would ask for a slack of a couple of days to get familiar with the technology. So this is the structure that I always expect and unfortunately hardly ever get. So by the way, speaking a little bit more about the second conditional, so remember, guys, we use it when we talk about imaginary situations. That's why, once again, have a look at this rule. So a second conditional refers to an imagined present or future result of an unlikely or impossible present or future condition. That's why please pay attention. First of all, the sentences consist of two parts. The first part is your condition. So the condition starts with if. After that, you need to use past simple. And in the part with your result, you use would and infinitive. So there is one more example. If I became the head of the department, I would be strict and demanding. Okay, and I would like to circle back a bit. Have a look at the typical questions that can be asked here. So, what would you do if your team rejected all your ideas? What would you do if you had no clue how to perform a task? How would you prepare if you were asked to run a demo in English for the first time? Well, guys, I can tell you that these are not just random questions that I found somewhere on the internet. These are the questions that I, as an interviewer, usually ask. That's why, once again, please pay attention. Okay, so while answering these questions, you can use the following expressions. If I were to, for example, deal with this problem, I would start by reading documentation. First, I would make sure that my team and I are on the same page. My first step would be to identify problem areas. My main goal would be to improve my qualifications in the area. Okay, let's move forward a bit. Well, professional upskill. Uh, guys, you may not be the smartest in your sphere. You may not have C1 English level, but we interviewers are quite interested in how ambitious you are, and especially when it comes to English itself. So most people who take part in English checks have level, like A2, B1, B1. So your interviewer needs to understand whether you're willing and ready to step up your English, to step up your skills, and how fast you will manage to do it. So here can be the questions like, what technology-related blogs, podcasts, tweets, websites do you follow? How do you keep your technology skills current? What do you do to upskill your English? And once again, trust me, I ask these questions all the time, and I do believe that other interviewers do the same. So, and uh, yeah, by the way, guys, when answering these questions, remember that you are selling yourself. So you're trying to prove that you're a good match for this project or for this customer. That is why don't be shy to mention all the things, even simple ones that you do to keep your skills current. And a huge mistake would be here to say, well, I'm not doing anything these days. And once again, trust me, I hear it a lot. Well, practically all the time when I ask this question, well, people just say, well, I don't do anything special, so I just work on the project. Sometimes I have some new tools to work with. Speaking about English, again, okay, I just read documentation, communicate with my customers sometimes, and that's it. And I'm not attending any English classes. So, guys, this is very wrong, very wrong. Because it's a huge mistake because it make you come across as an ignorant person with probably poor time management since you're not able to make time for job related development. That is why prepare a list even when it's not completely true. So yeah, you can just lie a little bit. Okay, so here are the useful phrases. For example, you can say, I devote, let's say, 3 hours weekly to deep dive in Node.js, English learning. And by the way, once again, guys, pay attention to these expressions because instead of saying, well, sometimes I read some documentation, sometimes I read articles, you can use something more advanced, which will immediately, well, I believe, so you will make much better impression on your interviewer. So yeah, you can say, I devote, again, 3 hours weekly to deep dive. Nice expression, deep dive. Okay, the next one, to level up my English skills, I hit the following websites. And after that, you just start enumerating these websites. So my top 5 websites is, and again, you start enumerating. I follow a bite-sized learning method, spending 30 minutes daily to, well, do something for your professional upskill. Okay, so I believe we can move forward. One of the hardest things in a job interview is talking about your strengths and weaknesses. So that's why here are the things you need to keep in mind. So first of all, use the job description to frame your answer. So remember that your strengths and weaknesses should reflect the requirements of the role. So ensure that you highlight your skills that are listed in the job description and explain how you will gain or improve critical skills that you lack. So guys, in general, you understand that it's really simple just to Google it somewhere in the internet. Yeah, some strengths and weaknesses you can use in your job interview. I mean, everybody can do this. But here, the trick is every time when you say something about yourself, like, okay, I'm hardworking, or I'm a people person, I have, I don't know, some other skills, you need to provide some specific examples. Yeah, because quite often I watch different webinars where sorry, where HR managers usually say, we don't believe just words. Yeah, when people write in their CVs lots of different beautiful adjectives, we don't really believe it. So all the time um, we need these adjectives to be supported with some particular examples. That's why, guys, if you say something, once again, remember to provide them. So speaking about your weaknesses, I wouldn't recommend you to reveal too much because you have to understand that sometimes it's just not appropriate to talk about all the weaknesses that you might have just because they might be critical for this role, for this position, or for the project itself. That's why, well, don't reveal too much. Okay. So in here I've got two examples. So speaking about strengths, I am very honest when I feel that my workload is too large to accept another task, or if I don't understand something, I always let my supervisor know. Or my people skills are my greatest strengths. I find it easy to connect with almost anyone, and I often know how to empathize with others in an appropriate way. Speaking about weaknesses, you can say the following: I find public speaking intimidating and have often struggled with presentations. As a result, I am currently taking a public speaking course at a community college to become more confident and learn to structure my speech more effectively. Or you can say, I often struggle with delegating and choose to take on a larger part to ensure that a task is completed perfectly. This puts more pressure on myself, so I have been using software to assign tasks and track their completion. So you see, yeah, here we have like particular examples that show, that prove that you're either honest or, I don't know, for example, you find public speaking intimidating and so on. Okay, so let's move forward a little bit. Here I've got a couple of more phrases that you can use in this situation. So for example, when talking about strengths, you can say, I perform well under pressure. I'm used to working in a busy environment. I have very good people skills. I'm a very organized person. I manage my time well by planning out. I've always been a great team player. I believe my strongest trait is my attention to detail. I'm good at resolving problem situations. I'm self motivated. When talking about weaknesses, you can say, I always try to solve my own problems instead of asking a coworker who might know the answer. I become nervous when I tend to spend too much time making sure the customer is satisfied. So sometimes I have trouble delegating duties to others. Okay, good. So we can move forward a little bit. Well, guys, being able to speak with anyone around the world through a virtual meeting is incredible. But frequent problems with video conferencing can be a pain. So, did you know that up to 95% of online meetings start late? So, the reasons for technical issues can be different, and I assume that you're well familiar with them. Well, inevitably, you feel edgy when you speak English, and technical issues would only add up to the stress level. That is why let's see how you can react to these kind of situations. So here are ready expressions you can use in case of different emergencies. So you can say, is it okay if I call you back in a minute? By the way, guys, not recall. Yeah, you don't say recall, you say call back. So let me turn off my camera. You're frozen. There is something wrong with the audio. I can't hear you well. Can I call you back? Everything is okay on my end. Can you hear me okay? All right. Can we hop on another platform? How about switching over to Google Meet? I didn't catch what you said. Could you say the question again? And guys, unfortunately, these are not the only problems because due to technical issues and other speech peculiarities, there sometimes might be misunderstanding. And quite often non-native speakers, especially with low English level, are ashamed to ask to repeat or to clarify something. Though actually they shouldn't be afraid just because the same problems can occur even when we're speaking the same language. So it's absolutely okay, it's quite natural. You see that here I've got two columns, so different expressions you can use while asking for repetition and asking for clarification. So guys, be very attentive not to mix them up because actually they're absolutely different. So you understand that when you ask for repetition, well, people will just repeat the same, but maybe they will do this slower or louder. When you ask for clarification, it means that a person needs to use some other words or maybe to give more details to express some concept. So, asking for repetition, here is what you can say. Sorry, I missed that. Could you say it again? Sorry, I didn't catch that. Could you slow down a bit? Would you please repeat the first part or the last part of what you said? And asking for clarification. Sorry, I don't understand. Could you explain what you mean? Sorry, I'm not with you. Could you go over that again? Sorry, I don't follow you. Could you run through that again? Sorry, I don't quite see what you mean. Could you be a bit more specific? All right, so the next point here in our presentation is to ask or not to ask. There is that part of the interview that many job candidates don't take seriously. So when interview is ending, the interviewer might ask you, "Do you have any questions for me?" And maybe you've had a really great meeting and you feel that you have nailed the job. So you might be tempted to answer with just, "Well, no, I don't have any questions for you." Just to finish the interview quickly. But guys, you have to have questions. You have to show curiosity because well, even if you are pretending, because the more curious you are, the more you learn, the more you ask, the more successful you become in your career. Well, and surely remember to keep your questions polite. That's why here is how you can make these kind of questions. So, would you mind telling me about the team I might have to work with? Could you tell me about the key responsibilities in the project? I wonder if you could tell me about the technologies used in the project. Do you think you could tell me what methodology is used in the project? Would it be possible to know how long the project will last? Is there any chance to know who I will work most closely with? All right. Well, okay. Guys, using appropriate grammar is a huge plus for you. That is why part of your job interview preparation should be reviewing the tenses you know and how you use them. So, guys, today I would like to talk a little bit more about the present simple, the present continuous, the past simple, and the present perfect, because these are the most frequently used tenses when we talk about job interviews. So, first of all, the present simple. We use the present simple when we want to talk about something that is true now. It is quite permanent. So, here you can talk about tasks related to your day to day job, things which don't change very often, and about any skills that you have. For example, you can say, I work in a very international team. My colleagues are from all over the world, so we communicate in English. I use Google Docs every day at work. You see that you do this all the time at your work. That's why it's absolutely usual, so you can use the present simple. So the next one is the present continuous. Guys, we use this tense to talk about something that we are doing now. So we can use this tense to talk about what you're doing, for example, currently on your project. There is difference definitely between present simple because when we talk about present simple, we talk about things that are, mm, they happen all the time. Yeah. When we talk about present continuous, it can be about something more temporary, things that might change very often. So, for example, your interview question may be, "What are you working on right now on the project?" Well, I'm working on a project with a company based in the UK at the moment. Or you can say, "I'm managing a team of 3 right now." You see, if you say that you work on some project or you manage a team, it's not really clear. Like, do you do this absolutely all the time? Or are you talking about current situation? Okay, so the next point is the past simple. So we use past simple to tell your interviewer about finished actions. You will most likely get a question about your education, for example. And the question might be, "What did you study at university?" So this question is in the past simple. But you might also be asked, "Tell me about your studies." Remember, you should usually answer in the past simple just because your studies and your university, so all these things are already in the past. So basically, there is no connection. So you can say, "I studied software engineering at the University of Grodno. When I left school, I decided to do a professional training course in programming." You can also use the past simple to talk specifically about your previous jobs. For example, you can say, When I worked for Google, I often handled customer complaints. Or I learned a lot about React when I worked for Google. So the next one is the present perfect. You can use this tense to talk about states and actions which began in the past and continue in the present. In a job interview, you can talk about your likes and dislikes with the present perfect, by the way. So we often use these words like, always or never to do this. For example, you can say, I have always enjoyed working with people, or I've never liked sitting behind a desk from 9 to 5, which is why I enjoy working flexi time. So we also use this tense to talk about recently finished actions or actions which have a strong connection with the present situation. Well, besides, remember we use it when we talk about experience. For example, I have just completed a large project in collaboration with a tech company in California. That is why I feel ready to work with a US based company again. Or I can say, I have worked freelance for my whole career so far, so I really want to work as part of a team now. Okay, guys, and right now I would like to have some recap. So, first of all, remember you always need to look friendly and positive. So, don't feel shy to engage in small talk. Prepare your elevator pitch to showcase your professional experience. And remember, no talk about the place where you were born, the school you went to, or a typical weekend. Yeah, so nothing like this. Okay, think over your past experience, the projects you've been involved in, your responsibilities, challenges, ups and downs on these projects, and so on. Also, be ready to answer hypothetical questions. Yeah, and to do this, just revise conditional sentences. Prepare a list of things you do to upskill professionally. Get familiar with the phrases to deal with technical problems because unfortunately they happen absolutely all the time. So, and predict job interview questions that you will be asked so you can think about what tenses you might use in your answers. Okay, and I've got some conclusion here. Well, guys, practice makes a man perfect. Rehearsing is one of the most crucial steps before your interview. And if you're not well versed, you will forget it and you will sound funny. But with the right amount of practice, you will definitely nail your job interview. Okay. So, guys, I believe that we can finish here. I would like to get back because probably you've got some questions. Okay. So, guys, do you have any questions? Because definitely you have job interview every now and then, or at least you have English checks. So maybe there is something curious you would like to ask.
Anna, could you please share with us this presentation?
Oh, yeah, definitely. So actually we should ask Victoria, but I believe that, yeah, it will be shared with you. And if something, I can send it to you personally. Okay, thank you, Artur. So there is some link here, something useful for us. Okay, do we have any other questions? Well, Victoria, I suppose we don't.
Okay. Thank you, Anna, for your speech. Thank you, everyone, for coming. And have a great evening. Bye.
Wish you good luck, guys. Bye-bye.